What's going on, guys? It's Mirwin. We're here today with episode 3 of the Create Combos podcast. I'm here with Deshaun here. We've been friends for a while. Honestly, I was thinking about it before I started recording and just kind of, I don't really even know how long it's been. It's probably been a couple of years at least. Like,
it's been
probably
a while.
Above 5 probably was kind of what I was thinking at least. I mean, some 5, 6, maybe even more than that.
Yeah.
But, we've known each other for a while. We work together. Obviously, we both make music. That's why, we're doing this together. But excited to have him here today. We've been talking about doing this podcast together with him on it for a while, so really excited to get into it. How's it going today?
Oh, it's going good, man. It's going good.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, like I say, if you watched any of the other podcast episodes we've done, like I said, this is only episode 3. But, we try and really keep it short, really, time efficient. So, we'll just get straight into it today. So if you don't know Deshaun, he has some music out there. He's done like some lo-fi music under a lo-fi artist name. He has some of his own music with like vocals and stuff. Under his Deshaun Lovell artist name as well that, he started releasing. We'll just kind of get started off top here and just kind of talk about how did you start creating music? Where kind of that love come from? Just all that fun stuff.
So I've always liked music ever since I was a kid. When I was a kid, I would listen to music all the time. I would be in class, I'll be listening to music, I'll be, just doing anything, I'll be listening to music, And I always wanted to, do music full time and like make it a job. But I never thought I could, because I had a lot of I had a lot of like self-image issues. I didn't like believe in myself a lot, and I just thought it was like kind of a, an out there kind of dream. But then when I got out of high school, I moved out at 18, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I just decided one day to start making music, and I don't know what happened. Like it was kind of like out of the blue. I just decided to make, just go on up. I got FL Studio and I just made a beat, and then I fell in love with it, and then ever since then I just kind of been doing it,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, let's kind of, maybe dig into that a little bit more before we move on to like the next question on the thing. I think for me, when I think about making music, and, I'm kind of maybe in a similar boat of you where, I made it for a long time without ever really, A, without like releasing anything, or even B, just like telling people, where it's just like, I remember even like very, very early, like I play guitar, not very well, but I play guitar. When I was in middle school, I would write songs, and, it'd always be, I'm still not the greatest singer, but, you can imagine in middle school, it was much worse. But, I wrote songs then, never really told anybody, and then like in high school, coming out of middle school, I did the same thing. And then, and one of my friends teach me how to do rap. He taught me a bunch of like the foundation stuff. And even then, years and years and years, all through high school, never really, told anybody about that side of me or whatever. Just, again, kind of that insecurity. Maybe let's kind of talk about that for a sec. How did you kind of get out of that? And then kind of what, maybe what were some of those hurdles? How did you overcome those?
So I've always had social anxiety like in general. I've always been kind of anxious about everything. Like in school, I didn't like talk to anybody. I kind of stuck to myself. I was very insecure about everything I did. I didn't want to embarrass myself, so I didn't like talk to anybody, And that's kind of how I lived my whole life, like my whole teenage life, my whole childhood, just like kind of thinking to myself. But I've always been like creative. I've always been like doing art and like doing like stuff with videos and stuff like that. I've been on YouTube I've been doing YouTube for maybe like 15, 13 years now. It's been a long time, But yeah, I just never built up that confidence to kind of put myself out there, And I think when I turned 18 and moved out, I was kind of sick of myself. I was kind of like sick of like hiding, I guess, And I knew like music was something that I always like loved, And I just wanted to change and do something I really wanted to do, even though it like terrified me,
Right.
And that's something I try to do now too, I have so many things that kind of terrify me. Like, I mean, like still today, like, this whole thing kind of like, it scares me, like that one day I might have to, go out and do a show, like,
Right.
put myself out there like that, but like it's something that I want to do for myself, because as a kid, like I never did that for myself. I never like,
Mm.
you know what I'm saying? Like I was never there
Right.
for myself. I never pushed myself to do stuff like that. And now as an adult, like I want to like do stuff like that and push myself. So
Nice. Yeah. No,
yeah,
that's
that's
awesome.
really kind of what happened. So
Nice. Yeah. No, that's sick. That's great. Yeah. I think, like you say, all just about taking those steps and building that confidence. I think, I was talking with one of my friends the other day, a couple months ago. I'm gonna say the other day anyway, but it was like 4 or 5 months ago, just about like, I think you never really realize how far you've come until you like kind of look back on it,
yeah,
just in like lots of things, like just life in general, but especially music, where it's like, I was listening to one of my like first beats or first songs I made, and I was like, this sounds like pretty different, and not in a positive way, like this sounds like
yeah,
way
yep,
different. So yeah, I think, just taking those steps, like you said, doing it for yourself too, of like, not
yeah.
necessarily like doing it for other people, but like, I want to do this for myself, and like this is something I believe in. So yeah, that's sick.
And it's hard. It's hard too because like you have like your family, and friends, like they don't like really know what you're doing. Like I dedicate so much of my life and my time to my music. Like
Yep.
from the outside looking in, it's kind of like like they don't know what's going on. Like they don't know like why I'm devoting so much time to this. But they don't see they don't have the vision that I do. They don't know like to do music and like to do it full time, to get to that point. Like you got to be almost delusional, to actually push yourself to do that. Because it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of practicing. It takes a lot of getting good at the craft. And yeah, I feel like that's a hard part of kind of like dealing with the whole thing. Is like you have a family kind of, I wouldn't say judging, but like kind of
yeah,
I don't know how to put it, but like you have a family kind of,
yeah, just the expectation kind of,
yeah,
of like,
exactly.
yeah.
It's like you don't want to fail them. You don't want you want them to be proud of you and stuff. But like you also want to do your own thing, and that's kind of why I wanted to move out in the first place, because I had to do my own thing. I didn't know what that was at the point, but eventually I figured out, I wanted to do music,
Right.
And I just took advantage of that, and now I can, come home and just, do my music all day, and
Sure. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, we kind of have very different music styles. If you, probably most of the people watching this have never listened to your music. Maybe some of them have listened to mine. But we have very different, music styles. We both love a lot of the same artists and things like that. But just like sonically, like we're, very different styles from each other. Who are some of the artists that have inspired you, and especially, maybe just like your sound or like how you approach making music, all that stuff?
So many. When I was a kid, my cousins were in a band, and I would just watch them, like, because they did some shows. I would watch them. I was like so like moved by how like I was impressed. I was like, how do I do that? You know what I'm saying? Like I was amazed that they were able to like go out and do a show like that, in front of all these people, And I think that's really kind of what like got me very like interested in music, and ever since then, I've listened to like so many artists, but I would say Russ and Billie Eilish and Phineas are, like, my biggest like inspirations, because Billie and Phineas are like, Billie's like, I think she's younger than me. She's like 23 or something, 22, like that, something like that.
Yeah, she's younger than me.
It's crazy how talented and like driven she is at that age, and I was so inspired because I was listening to her like when she came out, the first time, and I was like, and day one I was a fan, and I kind of saw that. I was like, if she can do it, like, I have no excuse like why I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're like the same age,
Yeah.
And I found that I would always make excuses to like why I can't do this and why I can't, make music. Like, I'm not ready. Like, I'm not good enough. Like, I had to wait. And that's kind of like a trap you get yourself into as well. You always push off, like, for the longest time I push off on music and get into it. Like, I'm not good enough. I'm not ready yet. But at one point you just kind of have to get over that and start, and but also Russ, like his drive is absolutely insane. I've been following him since like like 10 years ago, something like that, for a long time.
Yeah, he's been doing it a long
I've
time.
always, yeah, a long time, yeah. And just like he is like so like the way his confidence is like I fucking that's the kind of confidence I want in my music and in life and everything, you know. Like he believes in himself so much, he doesn't let his doubt, you know, take over like that, you know. And that's something that I struggle with a lot, you know. I make music and I'm doubting myself all the time, you know. I'm always criticizing everything I do. I dissect like all my beats and like all my songs I make, and I always, you know, I tear them down. I tear myself down too. You know, I say I'm not good enough. I'm not ready yet.
Right.
And it's just about like getting over that, you know. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like I need to build up more confidence, you know, and not let myself get in my own way, you know.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
But that can be tough sometimes, you know. But
yeah. No, that's sick. No, definitely a big fan of all those artists for sure. Kind of bouncing off that there, you know, like I say, I've been in that boat too. I think anybody that does anything creative, or honestly anything just that's kind of like a big dream, they kind of you probably have had like those excuses, right? Like even if it's, you know, making a movie or, you know, starting a business, whatever it is, there's always those excuses you have in the back of your mind or in the front of your mind of like, why I can't do this or why it's not going to happen. What do you think has been like really big in helping you get past those?
I'm always trying to grow every day, try to improve myself every day. I think this like the scariest thing to me is like just staying stagnant, like staying in one place, you know, your whole life. Like I always want to do better. I always want to like put on myself, and that's something about me too. Is I'm competitive with myself. Like I'm not super competitive with like other people, but like myself, I always need to like do better than I did last time. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like it's kind of a curse because like I'm always like trying to one up myself. I'm a perfectionist as well. So like I need to get everything right, you know. So like it can really kind of like attack my process and like my, you know, making my music and all that, because like, I overanalyze and I try to make it the best I can, and I feel like when I don't make something that I love, I get kind of, you know, let down and like how to say it, kind of like
just like disappointed kind of.
Yeah, kind of like that. And then I stopped making music for a while, you know, and then I feel like I'm just like failing myself because I've
then you know you're not making it, so you feel even more frustrated. Yeah.
And I feel like I've like instilled it so much in my mind that like this is what I do, this is what I need to do. Whenever I'm not making music, I feel so guilty. Like I'm not doing, you know what I'm saying? Like I can't take a break from music because I feel like I'm not, you know,
not like doing
living
enough.
up to my I'm not living up to you know what I think I should be doing, you know. But yeah, I forgot what the question was. I kind of went off.
Yeah, I think no, that was great. I think, you know, you nailed it of like how like kind of just that some of those excuses, how you've overcome those. I think, you know, they're different for everybody. I think even like what you were saying was great, and I think I definitely resonate with that of just trying to get better every day is definitely a big thing, especially for me. I know I've told you like a big thing for me is just trying to do something every day, you know. Starting like those habits are really huge. I think especially for artists, like the work ethic is like a really big part of it. That like people don't really talk about a lot. You know, you just see, you know, them on an island in, you know, Barbados or something, and you're like, I want to be a rapper.
That's the funny thing too, like, because like you see like all these artists and stuff, and like you see how big they are, but you don't understand how long and how much time and like effort that took, you know, to actually get to that point. You know, you see the finished product, you don't see all the behind the scenes things, you know. And it can be tough sometimes, you know. And like right now, like I don't have a lot of music out. Like I have my lo-fi, which you know, is doing its thing, but like I don't want to do lo-fi my whole, you know.
Like that's not what music, you want to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. But you know, I need to I forgot what I was saying.
No, you're good. You're good. I think I don't know. I honestly kind of forgot a little bit of what I was saying too. But like just the idea of even kind of what I was talking about earlier, where you don't realize how far you've come until you like kind of look back. I think,
Yeah.
like I said, just doing something every day, and like I work like really far ahead in my music, or like, I think I've told this to you. I've told this to a bunch of people, but like when you think of like sports, like music is a lot like a sport in a lot of different ways. But when
Yeah.
you think of sports, it's a lot easier. My kind of like mentality is it's a lot easier to play defense when you're already winning, or like it's a lot easier to play defense when you have a big lead. So like a big thing for me is like I was trying, like I say, do something every day and like build that big lead for myself. So it's like, right now I'm working on beats for like 2 albums from now, and it's like,
No, I see that.
day to
Yeah, I
day,
see
like
that.
day to day, it doesn't feel like I'm doing that much. Where it's like,
Yeah.
I'll do the same thing where I'm like, man, yesterday all I really did was play 2K outside of work, and but
Yep.
like then I look and I'm like, oh, like I have 8 of those 10 beats like started or like 75% done, and I don't need that out in another like year and a half, so it's like
Yeah.
just like
No, you are crazy with that too. Like I've seen like, cause you came over a few times, I've seen like all the stuff you do. Like you are like so planned ahead. It's crazy. Like it makes me feel bad that I'm not. Like I feel like disorganized whenever I see your catalog and all that.
yeah.
You're crazy with that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's process is different. So, I mean, that's another
Yeah.
thing. Like, we kind of talked about comparison a little bit, but like, you can play that game all day of like, I wish because like the way I make music is like way different than other people. Like, we're both friends with Caleb, and I've talked with this a couple times, but like, he's got one of the other episodes of the podcast. The way he makes music is like way, way different than me. So, like, he's got probably like 100 easily times more beats than I do, but like they're not finished. So like for me, when I make something, I make it, and like there's changes. Like sometimes I'll change the sample, or the drums are a little difficult. I'm like the drums are kind of frustrating for me right now personally.
Yep.
But like once I make it, like I'm gonna use it, I'm gonna write to it, I'll record, it's like done. But like for him, he'll make 25 beats and they're all 8-bar loops until he gets to like that one that like he actually writes to. So
That's
it's like
how I am. Yeah.
you can't really like compare yourself and like how you make music and how your process is. 'Cause, like, everybody just works differently. Everybody's like different,
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so we'll kind of wrap this up here. We'll do a couple more questions here. Like I say, you've got some music out. What is something that you've created, maybe released, unreleased, that you're super proud of?
Oh man. Well, I would say my EP that I dropped, I think last year.
Yeah.
It was so deep, and like, it's not my best like I've ever done. Like, it has a lot of imperfections and all that, but like the meaning behind the songs are like so meaningful, and like it meant a lot to me, and I just feel like the fact that I put that out there, and like the fact that that's my first, stuff out there right now.
Like projects type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that. So
yeah, what's the name of that for the people listening?
it's Untitled, so it doesn't have a name. So
yeah. No, I really like that. It was just a double single, right? I think Untitled and then Forever Now. Both of them really fire. I like Forever Now a lot. I actually listened to that yesterday, like it came up on my playlist. But
I appreciate that.
Yeah, very sick. Yeah, that's cool. Kind of like I said, we've been talking a lot about like making music and that process. What's kind of something you've been working on recently? Just kind of where are you? What are you working on? What's your headspace right now?
So right now, I'm trying to get everything planned out for my debut album. I have quite a few songs that I am excited about, but so I'm just kind of going through the whole process right now, getting it all planned out, and I'm excited. I have some singles coming out soon, so
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. Kind of, maybe we can talk about that for a little bit and then we'll wrap this up. Album obviously is like a big kind of daunting thing, especially when you start out and you have like nothing, and then, you're trying to build it up and, all that stuff. Especially, if I hadn't mentioned it already, Deshaun also produces all of his own music just like I do. So, he's not going on YouTube getting those type beats, those Juice WRLD type beats, all that stuff. He produces all his music from scratch. So, everything in his discography he's made himself. But what has been like some of the challenges with trying to make like an album project, something, it's not just like a single. I know, we live in a very single driven, like music, economy right now, where it's just, song after song. A lot of the like industry people are like, you should never drop an album if you don't have like 1 million monthly listeners or whatever. So what has kind of been like some hard things about planning that album, working on it, and maybe what's your like motivation behind building an album, you know, because I know it's something that like kind of a hot take a lot of people think, you know, you shouldn't be doing right now.
Yeah. So my some of the problems I have is I try to make it like, I just want it to be cohesive, you know what I'm saying? I want it to like make sense. And I feel like just overthinking too. Like I find myself overthinking about the album a lot. And I feel like that's kind of why I pushed it off so long as well, is because I overthink about everything about, well, that's everything in life, honestly, but my music too, I overthink about, I overthink about everything, you know, and like I said, I'm a perfectionist and everything has to be, you know, done right and everything. So, but yeah, I just need to kind of let it happen, you know what I'm saying, in a way, and not be so focused on the outcome, I guess. So I feel like, honestly, this album was supposed to be out like this month, but you know, I got behind, and
it happens. Yeah, if it can happen to Kanye, it can happen to anybody, you know.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I'm locking in now. I'm getting a lot done.
Nice.
I'm focused, and yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no, definitely, you know, resonate with a bunch of those things. I mean, like, the cohesive part is definitely sometimes challenging. So, like, sometimes, you know, you listen to album. I know we're both people who, like, really enjoy albums and, like, listening to them and, like, just the whole experience. But, like, you know, sometimes listen to an album and it can be almost, like, too cohesive, where it's, like, you know, you skip through every song and they all sound the same. But then at the same time, you don't want, you know, on kind of the opposite end, you don't want every song to be so different that it's like, oh, you got a drill song and then you got like an R&B song or whatever, you know, so where it doesn't make sense. So definitely a challenge. I think before we wrap up, just to be like my take and maybe just some advice for you on that is like, again, kind of maybe the whole theme of this episode, just, you know, I think when I've made albums and projects, and even just, you know, like I said, I've been working on 2 albums out right now. The picture, you don't really, you know, when you start something like that, it's kind of like writing a book or writing a movie. Sometimes all you have is just a little bit, like a little seed of inspiration. I don't know if you read the book, The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. Really great book.
No, I need to.
Yeah, no, it's fire. It's really good. I would definitely recommend it. But he talks about in that book about collecting seeds. So when he talks about like his creative process working, you know, for himself or like with another artist, one of the most important stages is collecting seeds. So he calls that just like a seed of inspiration, you know, kind of like that eureka moment, or, you know, just, you know, like you say, for you sometime, or like myself, I was literally eating lunch before this, and I was like, you know, I was working on a beat while we were waiting. I was eating lunch and I was like, you know what, I got an idea for like a hook, you know, so I like did it in my voice memo. But he talks about collecting all those, just because you never know what it'll grow into. And I think as I've made more albums and worked more intentionally on like each album and project, the picture, like, it can be frustrating at the beginning because you kind of just want the whole picture to like be there in front of you, and like, you know, oh, I have this great vision for this album, like sonically, all the lyrics and stuff like that, but it's just like not there yet, and you just kind of want it to, you know, I just want it done like right now. But again, just doing that little stuff day by day, like consistently, then, you know, you look back and you're like, oh wow, this is like coming, you kind of almost feel it coming more into focus of like, okay, you know, I tried this sample, I tried this beat, it didn't work, I got a different one, this feels more like what I want, you know, and then like, you know, I've tried these drums, this isn't it. Just that's what I would encourage you, is just like, you know, not to focus so much on, it seems almost a little counterintuitive, where it's like you would think, oh, if I lose focus of what I want the whole album to be, you know, it'll become, well, you know, it'll become all messy or whatever. But I think almost when you lock in too much on that, like you said, you overthink it, you get a little bit too much perfectionism or whatever. But if you just focus on, like I said, collecting those seeds of like inspiration and following it where it takes you, there've been so many songs and beats where I'm like, this did not turn out the way that I thought it was going to in the beginning, but you just kind of followed that, you know, there's something there, you know, where it's like you just get that, definitely. You know, like I say, for me, I sample a lot, you know, this sample isn't really what I normally sample, or just something in, you know, that inspiration that like kind of is almost guiding you in a sense of like, there's something behind this, I'm just gonna hold on to it and follow it and see where it takes me. And then, at the end of the day, you listen to that whole album and it's like, this is, again, very different than how I expected it to, but it's, that journey kind of, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of what's happening actually. I had a whole vision for this album, and as I got more into it, like it kind of went up, kind of went away from that.
Yeah, right.
And I kind of lost, like, I wouldn't say hope, but I lost inspiration and motivation to keep making it. But like you said, I need to kind of let it happen and just kind of let it, kind of flow out and kind of be what it is, And I focus on so much on what it was supposed to be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I have, go ahead, you go.
No, you go.
I have like so many, I have a lot of songs. I do a lot of like different styles as well. And I'm trying to like, trying to decide what I want the style of this album to be like. And I think I'm overthinking about that too. I think I can't have this song out here because it doesn't really like, it doesn't go well with this song. And I can't do this, I like I said, I overthink it. But I just kind of need to let it happen, just kind of piece it all together when I'm done with it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you said,
Yeah. No, I think, like you say, I think that's a good, I like how you mentioned like kind of the box there. I think, we were talking about Russ earlier. I think something interesting with him that I really think is cool is because he also is an artist that I think has a lot of different styles to him, that like, than, maybe a lot of artists where it's like, he can sing, he does like R&B, he does like a little bit like the Latin type stuff. He, obviously he raps, he does more like the pop stuff, and even just like, from a topic standpoint of like, he writes about a lot of different things. But I think, again, sometimes as artists, we can get a little bit almost too concerned, like not almost, but definitely too concerned with like the box that like other people would put us in, or, the labels of like, oh, they're, I don't want to be defined as like this type of artist or whatever. But I think honestly, it's almost the reverse. A lot of times we think that the fans are the people that decide what type of music we are, or like, just they put the labels on us. But when I think about artists like Russ, like he's made that box for himself. It's kind of reverse. Like we think the fans put us in a box of like, oh, if I do an R&B song and they love it, that's what I gotta do for the rest of my life because that's what the fans like. But like, I think it's actually the opposite. I think, because when I listen to Russ's music, everything feels like him. And even though they're different styles, like they're very different song to song, it feels like him. Like he's made that lane and like that box for himself of like, this is the style of music I've made. So I don't think, again, just probably advice for you is you don't necessarily have to be like, just because a song is different from another one doesn't mean, it can't be on the album. Or, that you can't release it or whatever. And again, like I was talking about that journey of like making a project, there have been samples, like literal samples that I've downloaded from TrackLib like years ago, like when I first started using TrackLib, and like it just didn't work out. And then now I find it and, it finds its way to me. And it's like, this is, for this beat. So you never know. Also, some of those songs where you're like, it doesn't make the album cut, you revisit it a couple years later, maybe it's for something else. So like I said, you don't necessarily have to put that pressure on yourself of like having to fit into that box, unless it's like the box that you want to build for yourself, where it's like, oh, I do want to do all these different things. Then do those different things. But if it's, not, and you're just worried about, oh, like I say, I'm worried that if I do this type of song and everybody loves it, I'm going to have to do that for the rest of my life. Well, then, that doesn't really matter. You're the one making the music. You control that. So I think, like I say, it's just, again, there's so much more psychological parts of being an artist that, again, people don't really talk about of like,
exactly.
I'm sure we could both name a bunch of artists where it's like, all their music kind of sounds the same. And then again, they're just kind of, that mindset of like, this is what the fans like. I'm sure they would love to do something different, but they're scared of, losing the fans, losing the money, all that stuff. Yeah.
That's something when I started making music too, I didn't want to fall into, I started off doing lo-fi, and now this album is mostly like hip hop and pop, it's like, I don't want to like trap myself into just doing one thing. That's something I never wanted to do, because how I make music is when I'm making a beat, I just kind of go with the flow. I don't really have anything in mind. I'm just kind of letting it happen, So I don't want to limit myself in a way, I just want to make what comes to me, But the issue that I'm coming into now is like, I'm a new artist, like a lot of people don't know me. And if I have this album with, like a poppy song, and then it goes to a hip hop song, it can definitely like turn off people to the music or to the whole album, and I don't want it to happen. But again, maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. But it's definitely something I'm trying to figure out right now. So
yeah, like I say, definitely a challenge. And I think again, just the more you go on that journey of building the project, the more you'll figure out which pieces fit and which don't, and then just kind of what the overall picture is that like you want to make. So yeah, good stuff. All right, we've got a couple minutes left here on the Zoom, so we're gonna wrap it up here. Last question then, just kind of to give yourself a little bit of more of a platform here. Like I said, I've mentioned your artist name a couple times. Where can people find your stuff? Maybe what are some dates, projects people can look forward to if they're interested in hearing more?
So I started off making lo-fi, so you can find all my lo-fi music at Lo-Fi Kobe on any streaming platform, Spotify, anything like that. And then Deshaun Lovell, I only have one EP out. You can find that anywhere else as well. And my debut album should be dropping March of 2025. So nice. Coming up pretty soon here. Nice.
Good stuff. Awesome. All right. Well, we'll take a step here. We're just going to wrap it up then. So, anyone who's watched this far, I appreciate you. This is probably going to be one of the longer episodes, like 30 minutes. So especially appreciate you if you've watched this far. Like I say, I want to do more of these podcasts more. If there's, anything you want to hear me talk about, Colby, Deshaun talk about, like I say, love, obviously we have a really great conversation here. So, if there's anything you want to hear us talk about, throw it in the comments. If there are any, we'll take that feedback, try and do some more here. We'll probably do an episode when the album's out for him as well. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, otherwise, everybody, thank you for watching. Hope everyone has a good rest of their week. Peace.